Yeah, hi guys. Very good evening. Today we are going to discuss one of the very interesting concept. Yesterday we discussed about what kind of backups are available, and also we discuss the recovery models. And now today we are going to discuss one of the concept called restores. If you want to move the database from one server to another server and one instance to another instance, or if you want to refresh the database from production to development and development to test, okay, you are trying to upgrade the database from lower version to higher version, or you want to configure the any high availability and recovery technique queues, or your database is corrupted. There are multiple reasons why you are restoring the database. Restores and recovery models one of the key components. Okay, today we are going to discuss last concept, that is restore. Yesterday we discussed a lot about different types of backups, right? Now today we are going to discuss about restore. Before I directly go to restore concept, let me first discuss about recovery phase. Let me share my screen. Recovery phase. What is recovery phase? How many phases are available? Recovery. Let me explain very interesting point. See, when you are take your mobile device, when you take your laptop, and when you take your desktop, so assume you are playing game for 1 hour or 1.5 hour, and suddenly your mobile got restarted, your laptop or desktop got restarted. Even take your TV also, any device, and after restart, after your mobile is started, it will take some fraction of seconds, right, to display the all icons in main screen. Yes or no? It will browse, and it is browsing, and anyone can notice, right? Suddenly when you restart, and when your mobile got hung straight, if you restart your mobile, after once restarted, it will take some time to display your icons on your main screen, right? That is nothing but your recovery phase. Every device, not only SQL server, every device, every device like a smartphone, like a smartphone as a SQL server will also we have recovery phase. So because before you restart any device or SQL server, there will be data. Data will be available in the caches. When you take a device, also it contains the memory, and then you take the laptop also, it will contains the memory. When you take SQL also, it will contain the memory. So whenever before you restart the restart, whenever before you restart, what data is available in the memory that need to move the first to the SQL, then it will start like not only. So I'm not telling that our mobile will also run this all recovery phase. I'm not telling that, but make sure for your better understanding, when you starting and stopping any devices and backend, it will run the recovery phase, and SQL will also the run the recovery phase. When SQL will also run the recovery phase, when you start the SQL server, stop the SQL server, what will happen in the backend? It will run the recovery phase. When you stop and start, when you make database to offline and online, when you make database to offline, when you bring the database to offline, online, also it will run the recovery phase until unless your recovery phase completed, and completes would see where we where database won't be come online. Your SQL server will also means your SQL server will also take some time, sometimes come to online or to connect the SQL server. Okay, so that is the one major key point. What will happen if you start the SQL server? What will happen if you make the database to offline to online? So SQL server will run the recovery phase. Checkpoint, you remember, right, about the checkpoint. So move the data from buffer to disk. So move the data from buffer to disk. So checkpoint will help us lot. Right now I told you, right, never change the checkpoint interval time because it will impact our recovery phase. Yes or no? If you are running for every 1 hour checkpoint, whatever the data you are modified in 1 hour, that will be available in the buffer, So recovery phase, it will affect the recovery phase. What will happen if you change the checkpoint interval time, means it will affect your recovery interval time, and it will affect on a recovery phase, or it will take longer time to recover your database. Then it is come to online. There is a interconnection link recovery phase and your checkpoint. So if someone is asking, can we change the checkpoint interval time? Yes, you can change the checkpoint interval time, but you need to more careful because it will affect the recovery phase. Now, so we have three phases, three recovery phases. We have database recovery, three phases are available, and one is analysis, and one is redo. We have three phases: analysis and redo, undo. So analysis phases and redo phase and undo phase. Now, what is analysis phase means? Okay, analyzing the transaction log to determine what is the last checkpoint. It will analyze what is the last checkpoint and create the 30 pages table and active transaction tables, and create the 30 page table and transaction log transaction table. It will create you a transaction in log determine, log identified, what is the last checkpoint trigger, and it will try to create two tables. Okay, one is DPT table and one is ATT table, 30 page table and active transaction table. Okay, so before your SQL server shutdowning, before your database shutdowning, okay, what analysis will do, right? Analysis phase will do two things. One is when you last checkpoint trigger, and it will try to create two tables. One is DPT table and one is ATT table. And the DPT table contains the 30 pages, and DPT contains the records of the page that were written at the time of database was shut down, and it will try to write that page information in the DPT table. Okay, DPT table records of the page time the database was shut down, means whenever your database is going to offline, or when your SQL server going to offline, how many pages, 30 pages are available, it will make and note the in the DPT table. That is the first point. And next to ATT table, ATT table is contains the records of the transaction in that where active or the time of database what not clearly shut down, and when your database offline or when your SQL server is going to offline, how many active transactions are available, that will make entry in the ATT table. These are the two things performing at the analysis phase. This is what actually happening in that analysis phase. And DPT table and ATT table, and DPT table will contain the 30 pages, will contain the database information, and ATT table will contain the active transaction information at the time of your database shutdowning, at the time of SQL server is shutdowning time. Very very important concept. Rare case I will get it this type of this kind of answers. Who already working? Anybody seen this? So this is what happening in the analysis. Very very important. Now redo phase. Whatever the whatever the 30 pages. So what will happen is whatever the 30 pages are available, right? Those 30 pages will move to the disk in the redo page. What happening, right? It will scan the DPT table, and it came to know what are the 30 pages are available. That is not to yet to move the MDF file before you set down. Those 30 pages move to the MDF file in the redo page. So your simple understanding is, instead of reading everything, so what is happening in the redo phase means it will scan the DPT table, it will verify, okay, how many 30 pages that not yet move to the MDF file before you shut down the server, or before you shut down the SQL server. Those changes move to the MDF file, that will be taken care by the redo phase. Now undo phase, important uncommitted transaction means before you properly not yet shut down, Assume one user started insert operations. For example, 9 a.m. user started one insert operations. So 9:15 suddenly your database went to offline and your SQL server went to offline. That still the transaction not yet completed. Now tell me this transaction is committed transaction or this transaction is uncommitted transaction. Those transactions will be rolled back in the undo phase and roll back in completed transaction and pounded ATT table to make sure that integrity of the database means whatever the transaction that is not yet fully committed, those transaction rollback database will be and database will come to the online. That is what will happen in the backend. Whenever you are running the recovery phase, SQL server is running in the recovery phase in proper shutdown and don't do. When you are making SQL server is offline means, for example, you are applying any service packs or you are doing some migration pre-checks will restart the SQL server. In that scenario, you need to verify the first how many transactions are running, that's it. And free checks means migration free checks means nothing to verify how many users are connected, any users are performing any transaction or not, just that thing only. Apart from nothing you will do. Okay. In undo phase, it will roll back the failed transaction and uncommitted transactions. In redo phase, it will move all the 30 pages which are fully committed but not yet moved the MDF file. In analysis phase, before you shut down, it will make entry in the DPT table and ATT table it will create dynamically and it will make entry, but where it is creating that what I have searched in Google, but I didn't get not that much information. Unable to find. Suppose where I can find the recovery phase, whether my SQL server is running the recovery phase or not. Where I can find the recovery phase, whether my SQL is running the recovery phase or not. Okay, SQL error logs are very first place. You need to verify whether your database stuck in recovery phase. Okay, and your status will be in recovery. Suppose here a database is there, right? In bracket it will come recovery mode. Okay, when it is a recovery mode, so you will get bracket in recovery database in recovery phase. It is running by recovery phase in bracket. When you see the recovery, the first place you need to go the SQL server error logs and go to database properties and go to management. And how you need to verify error logs means, go to management. You can go to SQL server error logs and go to current logs. This is error logs. How to read, and you can filter. When you click on filters, okay, you can search database name. It will contain the redo is shutdowning for the database. Like that, you will get it. You will get the information like this. The recovery phase, the database name is approximately in 40 seconds. You will get this kind of messages over the SQL server error logs. We came to know under which phase our recovery is happening. And also there is a phase 0, phase 1 and phase 2, phase 3, right? Analysis phase and redo phase and undo phase. So whenever you see the database in recovery, and then you can go for the logs and read the error logs where database which recovery phase. Sometimes your recovery phase will take a lot of types of and a lot of time. Couple of reasons can be long running transaction and rollbacking and transaction log size is very huge and too many VLFs are inside the database transaction log. There was a bug in SQL server and which is now fixed. There are bugs in our earlier and you got fixed after you were applying hotfix or a service packs or something in that case also your database go to recovery phase. Any of the reason, don't worry. All this concept will completely and we have complete all this concept in advanced level. What is that VLFs and how many VLFs will created by the default, and default too many VLFs. What will what will impact we will discuss. This is about your recovery phase. In case your database is completely stuck and it is not coming to, it is not moving, and it is not moving to forward, and it is in a recovery only. You waited for 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, and up to 9 hours. It is not moving and it is not coming to online. It's completely stuck under that scenario. I'm not telling that you can perform in production box without taking any proper approval. Okay, your recovery phase taking a longer time. Your application team is top of your head and it is not coming to online. You try to your best, but it is not coming to online. In that scenario, there is only one action you need to do, and you need to detach the database, and you need to attach without log file. Why your recovery phase taking long time, right? Due to log file only. MDF is not having any issue with the recovery phase. Only the log file and your buffer is having some issue with the recovery phase. So you can attach only with the MDF file, and but they may data loss. Again, I'm telling, if you are doing attach and detach, it will be data loss. If you are agreeing the application team, you can proceed this option. The recovery phase taking long time and your application team is the top of your head and you are not able to do anything. That is the nature of SQL server. We cannot do anything, sir, that time. Only there is only one option is available. You need to tell, okay, you can attach the database without log file. There may be data loss because whatever the data will be available in the log file, right? That is not moved to the MDF file. That definitely, because we are creating the database without log file. We are creating a database without log file means only we are creating database with the MDF file means LDF will create newly. This all we will come again practical. There is option alternative way, and it is completely your database. If you completely your database went to struck and recovery phase and recovery state, this is only final answer. You can do final thing, and you need to do in a real world whenever your recovery phase struck and it is not moving forward. Without log file, you can create the database, but don't do uh, don't do without taking any approval. It may lead data loss. Whenever you restart the SQL server, definitely they may ask you question, what is the SQL server, what is the sequence whenever you restart SQL server, right? What is the sequence of your databases? Okay, when you go for a sequence of a database, first master database will come to online. Okay, after that resource database will come to online, and after that model database come to online, and tempdb come to online, and rest of the databases that can be msdb and user databases. That is the sequence it will follow. First master and resource and model tempdb, then all user databases and also msdb. That is the sequence of the order. And this also you can get it by reading the error logs. You can get it what is the sequence of your databases came to online, and you can read SQL logs, or you can run any of these commands. What is the main order of sequence is master is resource and model tempdb and msdb or other system database or user databases. This is the sequence it will follow whenever restart the SQL server means. When you restart the SQL server, what database will come to online first? That is what my question. So master, resource and model, tempdb and msdb and other user databases, and it will follow the whenever restart the SQL means when you restart the SQL server, right? Where you can find means in SQL server error logs. When you go to the SQL server configuration manager, go to properties under startup parameters. Here it is E is there, right? Go and copy paste. You can remove error logs and also you can remove E. See here error logs, error log. There are 6 error logs, right, available. This is the one current error log. Remaining archive error logs. This is the error logs, and you need to run the you need to read the current error logs. When you open the current error logs, okay, this is your SQL Server error logs. It will write the clear information. Okay, what is your SQL Server version and what is the edition and you are using on Windows platform and you are installed where you are installed MDF and LDF and how much GB RAM. Okay, how many core processor, how many core processor available in the SQL Server, how many SQL is listening along with it will write startup parameters and startup databases. Okay, not only this one, it will write startup database and this is what startup database sequence. When you restart the SQL sequence or one is master and resource sample and model and tempdb, and after that you can tell any database user databases and msdb. That is the sequence it will follow. And here one more thing you need to remember, this also very important, and SQL Server will listening the port number for best place in SQL Erlogs. When you go to SQL Erlogs and see SQL Server listening on 1985, we are going to discuss lot about those concept and rebuild attach rebuild logs and attach detach is the one of the main concept. SQL logs is the primary concept for a DBS. We are going to discuss all the concept. Just to remember now what we need to do and what we need to do, right? Just to remember, we are going to discuss deeper in the coming sessions. Now restore. So recovery phase and startup parameters will start up database sequence. All technical point of view very important. When you go for the restoration, again we have two types of restoration. One is planned restoration and one is accidental restoration. Like a accidental restoration, like a T-log backup. Tail-log backup. I explained you, right? Tail-log backup, planned tail-log backup and unplanned tail-log backup. It's like same restore. Two scenarios will perform. What is planned restoration and what is accidental restoration. I can give one generic example and assume you are having a smartphone and purchase new smartphone. What will do? You will take backup of your old device and it will move to the complete to the new device, right? Yes or no? That is a planned restoration. What is accidental restoration means your mobile got crashed, okay, then that is the accidental restoration. If you don't have any backup, right, something happened to your accidental, something happened to your database, something happened to your device, you don't have any backup, right, nothing. So that is what, if you have backup you can recover. You don't have backup, you don't not able to, nothing will do, right, helpless. So make sure that database administrator, as a database administrator, the backup is the first priority. You should make sure that backups are configured and make sure the database backups are running properly or not, and that is your job. Whenever a SQL server is crash or whenever a database will crash, something will be happen. You are not sure, right? Suddenly something happen and if don't have any backup, then gone. And your manager will call you in cabin and what you will do in daily 8 hours. Make sure your backups are very important and as I told you, right, restore also there are planned restoration and accidental restoration. What is a planned restoration means moving the data from production to development and development to test or test to free fraud and free fraud to stage and you are building a completely new server and you are creating a new server and then want to move the complete your database or your data you are upgrading the SQL, then that is the also it is a planned restoration. All comes into the planned restoration. What is the accidental restoration means? Either your server is crash or database is crash and SQL is crash. Something happened. You want to do recovery your data bases through the backups. That is the accidental restoration. Now, before I go to the restoration, I want to say something about interesting concept. For example, let me give one example, sir. Then you will get a better idea. Suppose this is my backup file. Okay, I'm providing a backup file to you, and I'm providing to backup to you, and asking that can you please restore on any of the can you restore the server? Can you restore on the server? So without knowing anything about this backup, how I can restore? So you need to know about this backup file, and you can able to tell by seeing this backup file on which server you have taken this backup file version, and taken this backup, whether this backup file is full or differential backup, and how many files are available in this backup, means how many data MDF files are available and how many LDFs are available in this, whether this backup is valid or not. You can tell me by seeing this backup. It's very tricky to know that one, and there are free restoration option. Okay, so before I go for the restore, and there are free restoration option, I'm not telling whether you will directly perform this one, but unfortunately, if someone is giving backup file, you don't know anything about that backup file. Just just you know more about that backup file to become more stronger to that backup file. There are free restoration options. three three things is there. One is header only, and one is header, and one is file list only, and one is verify only. These three are very very important. There are lot, and again free restoration options, but out of this three, very important, header only. Suppose I can go to SSMS, go to any of the backup file. This is backup file, restore header only, equal to, just return the query and restore header from disk, and navigate the path, and restore file list only from disk, navigate the path, and restore verify from the disk, and path, navigate the path. So you will display more about your backup information, like your backup name, backup start date, backup finish date, and what is the checkpoint LSN, and database backup LSN, under database size, under database version, database name. I told you right last time, when you go to the SQL Server history, internal database version. Here we will get it database version 904, and collation, and backup set, and GUID. When is checkpoint is trigger, and I told you right the internal version, and when you take backup, what is the backup size, and what is the first LSN, and what is the last LSN when your checkpoint is trigger. So complete information about your backup. When you are go for header only, the most important, which server and which database, what type of backup, and which version, because backward compatibility. If you are performing backup and restore method, if you are performing backup and restore method, backward compatibility is the not possible. Means, can I backup on 2019, and can I restore the backup file in the 2017? No, right? Backward compatibility, you restore won't support compatibility. Means, if you are taking a backup file on the 2019, and I can restore on 2017, no, right? You cannot perform the backup and restore method for backward compatibility. Your restoration will get fail. So make sure that to validate that on which instance, so which version you have to taken the backup. So we are mostly verify the header only, on which server, and which version, and which database you perform this backup. Very very important, because backup or restores are not compatible with the backward compatibility. Means, if you are taking a backup on 2019, and you can restore 2017, no, right? Make note, will support only forward compatibility. Means, I can take backup of 2008, and 2008 R2. I can directly and go and restore 2019. You can restore, but again one more thing here. Can I restore a 2000 backup in 2019? No, right? Especially I'm telling a 2000, 2005. Only two steps is possible. Only two steps are means if you I'm taking backup on 2000, I can restore in 2005 and 2008 and 2008 R2. Only two steps you can restore. If I'm taking backup on 2000 server, can I restore directly on 2019? No, right? And 2008 R2, you can restore directly on 2019. There is not like two steps. Now from 2008 to R2 to Microsoft told that you can restore anywhere, no problem. That is the acceptable. But on 2000, 2005 servers, only two steps upgradation you need to perform, and you can do it means if you want to restore 2000 backup on 2019, first you need to take backup on 2000. I need to restore on 2008 R2. Again, I need to take the backup 2008 R2. I need to restore on 2019. That is the what two steps upgradation and came from 2000 2005. Then later Microsoft you can take backup on 2008 R2. Any steps we can do restoration, no worries. Earlier it is not possible. You need to perform again 2008 R2 older version 2008 R2 you need to restore. Again you need to take backup. Again you need to restore 2012 or 2014, 2016, 2019. Whatever you want, you can restore it. That is the what is the reason means that is the Microsoft right. We are not designed right. Microsoft not provided in the article as well. I am telling that there are well documented couple of things no one knows, but that is what the better. If the data backup can restore in the server from 2008 to you can restore anywhere. If you are taking backup on 2008 R2, you can restore on anyway, but from 2000 from 2000 you need to two steps. Especially I am telling 2000 and 2005. Only two steps is possible. And if you are taking a backup on 2000, can I restore on 2005 and 2008 and 2008 R2? Only two steps you can restore it. If I'm taking backup on 2000 server, can I restore directly on 2019? No, right? Okay, from 2008 R2 to you can directly restore on 2019. There is not like two steps from 2008 R2 to Microsoft told that you can restore anyway. That is no problem. That is the acceptable. But to 2000 2008 servers only two steps upgradation you can do it means if I want to do restore this 2000 backup on 2019, first I need to take backup on 2000. I need to restore on 2008 R2 to again I need to take the backup on 2008 R2. I need to restore on the 2019. That is what there are two steps upgradation came from 2000 2005. Then later Microsoft you can take the backup 2008 R2 and any two steps you can do in restoration. What is the reason means that is Microsoft right. What are not designed but Microsoft not provided in any article as well. I am telling that there are well documented couple of things and no one knows but that is what if data backup can restore server restore in the server from 2008 to you can restore anywhere. If you are taking backup on 2008 or 2 you can restore on anywhere. And another question is that so that if you want to backup older version, so we need to have the total version of the 5 to the 8 like that. But the same system every application having is own servers, and also you will maintain the lab servers in your project. Every project they will maintain the lab servers. Okay, you need to ask your application team whenever you are taking the transaction. So when we are getting a project, that phase will call as a transaction phase. Whenever you are part of transaction phase, you need to ask what is our lab environment, where I can find the lab element. That definitely they need to provide the lab environment. And because this is the one scenario you wanted to upgrade 2002 and 2019, you don't have any 2008 servers. These two servers, what you can do, then they need to provide the lab servers, or they will create one lab servers for you. And on that, you need to install 2008, or and you need to migrate the database. That is what real approach we need to follow. In real world, mostly one instance and one server in real world, and one instance what they will maintain are maximum two instance or one server. That's it. They cannot maintain the multiple SQL instances in one server, like how you are maintaining in the my laptop, right? I'm having suppose I'm having three instance. Some of the laptops it be more instances, right? Local laptops. In real world, sir, no one instance or one server or two instances. Max to max are three instances. Maximum two or three in one server, and every application having minimum three any environment, production environment, and development environment, and a test environment. Okay, every environment, they will maintain one single instance or two instance or three instances. Every instance they will maintain the servers. That is how I told you, right? Around we are maintaining short. It's not easy, sir, in real world. Make it crystal clear. You need to take it, you need to make it note. This is what do the real time. Just a simple for installing the SQL server on doing work. That is not a real time. Try to understand what is the real world. If you are installing the product in this server, means this servers belong to which application, and what application data is storing, and our understanding should be changed again. That is what real time process is, the real time, not technical, not technical real time. That is up to your point. In SQL, there is no real time. Process is the real time. What is the process is the real time technically. Technical, that is up to you. If you will work with work you don't know, you will search in. If no, you can work it, and if don't know, you can search in Google and you can work it. Yeah, here header only. Header only will display the version and version server when started. Everything you will get it, sir. And file list and display how many files are available. In file list display the how many files are available, and how many data files are available, and how many NDF files are available, and how many log files are available. Now we'll get it file list only. Now I can run this query. They have deleted backup, that's why you are not able to perform. And this is the one. And when you click on verify only, and it will validate your backup file whether it is valid or not, valid or invalid. If you are getting invalid, means there are restoration, and your restoration will fails because you are not properly taken the backup. You are not properly copied the backup file. That could be the reason. Either you not to properly take it the backup, means when you are taking the backup, right, the database already corrupted. Before you taken the backup, the database already corrupted by mistakenly. You taken the corrupted database backup in that cases. And also you cannot properly copy the backup file, means it is taken a long time. Someone is cancelled, after cancel it, and the backup file is available on the deserved location. In those cases also it will show the invalid backup. So most of the things, please be careful when you are taking the backups, and you are copying to the some other server. To verify only will tell us whether your backup file is valid or invalid. There are the three most restoration options. Now we are restoration types. Now we are a restoration type. Very simple, not much complex here. There are three restoration types are available in SQL Server, and with recovery, and with no recovery, and with standby. There are three restoration types are available. Three restoration types are available with recovery and with no recovery and with standby. Let me give you different answers so that you can understand very easily. Assume you are going to restore backup. We have different types of backup, right? Full backup and differential backup and transaction log backup. Assume your data, your better understanding. You got opportunity to restore your database, and you thought that you were having one full backup, and you are having a differential backup, and you are having a log backup. So these many files are available to bring your database is completely online. So you know that I need to restore this many backups files. So get to up to date the database. Then you started to restore, and you know that try to understand the logic very simple. There are a simple logic. You know that you are having multiple files. Then how SQL knows you are having multiple files? You know that you are having multiple files to restore, but how SQL server knows? But how SQL server know that you are having multiple files to restore? That is why Microsoft came up with this concept. What is this concept means? Microsoft came up with two concept, and what is the two concept means, and recover with the recovery and with no recovery. Try to understand. When you want to restore the database, you came to know I'm having multiple backups to restore, but our understanding, and that I'm having multiple files. But how SQL server is can understand, sir? By specifying the restore type, SQL can understand easily. And there are some more backup files that user needs to restore. That is how your SQL server can understandable with the help of no recovery and with help of no recovery. If you don't have any backup file and you have only one backup file, that is a full backup. Full backup database. Full backup is the base backup. When you are restoring also, when you are restoring also, first you need to restore the full backup. Later, whatever the restore, either it is a differential backup or it is a transaction log backup, that is up to your point. When you are restoring the first, you need to restore the full backup. Later, you can whatever you want to, you can restore it. That also should be that also it should be the sequence. Yesterday I saw you write sequence number as well. So having only full backup, I don't have any backup. So I'm having only one full backup. Don't have any don't have any full backup. I'm telling to SQL, hey, restore the database and bring database to online so that users can connect, and you can choose whenever go for recovery. Whenever you're restoring, if you are selecting a recovery with the recovery, that means you are telling to SQL, I don't have any backup to restore apart from this, just to restore this backup file, then bring my database to online so that user can access. I'm telling to SQL, hey, I don't have any backup file, just to bring my database to online with help of this backup file. And everyone with the recovery, I'm telling to SQL, I don't have any backup type file to restore, just to bring my database to of online with help of this backup file. That is the first option, sir. By default, it will be this option when you are restoring, whenever you are restoring the database. If you are specifying with recovery, if you are not specifying with recovery, the default option is the with recovery only. Means you can tell to SQL or you cannot tell to SQL also. It will go for the with recovery only. It is a default option and it is the default parameter. If you are specifying, if you are not specifying, it will go for the with recovery only. Make note, this is the first point. And if you don't have any backup file to restore, and you are telling to SQL, hey, bring my database to online with help of this backup, and I don't have any backup to restore, that is nothing but your with recovery. Now with no recovery means I'm telling to SQL, my database goes to restoring mode so that I can restore any one of the backup one by one. First I will restore full backup, then I will be differential backup, and I will be restore under transaction log backup, then transaction log backup. Last is the transaction log backup. Last transaction log backup, I can go with recovery. When you are having this scenario, your answer should be and full backup with no recovery, and a differential backup with no recovery, and a T-log backup with recovery, because I don't have any other backup files, right? Just to bring my database to online, and last backup you need to choose with recovery. Otherwise, your database never comes to online. These two are very important parameters. With recovery, with no recovery. With recovery means directly your database will come to online. Everyone access the database. With no recovery means you are telling to explicitly to SQL server, hey, I don't have any backup file. Bring my database to online. Still, I'm having some more backup files to restore. I will show you two mechanisms, no worries. And I will show you two mechanisms. One is simplest mechanism only. One is simplest mechanism only. One is a complex mechanism. You can choose whatever you want. Okay. The restore also very important only. Two mechanism and two methods. One is simple method, and other one is also but simple but manual work. I don't want to that manual work. I will show you later. Okay, hold on. But now, last but not least, our standby. And whenever you are going for with the standby, database will go to the read only. Okay, when you are going for with the standby, database will go to the read only. Means user can access the database, and the user can perform the read operations. User can access the database, and the user can perform the read operations. Whenever you go for with the standby, your database will go to restoring mode, and the user can access the database, and the user can perform read only operations. Make note this one. Whenever we are going to start the log shipping, right, I'm going to show you practically more about with the standby, why Microsoft came up with standby. It will help you a lot on log shipping concept, and also it will help on the archiving your database and old database, and no one are performing any inserts or updated, and but they want to data, you can do this standby, right? Make your database into whenever you make database into read only mode, they can just read the data, and they cannot perform insert and update or delete. They can just read the data. Means only two scenarios will go for this standby mode, and one is archiving the data, and one more is the log shipping, and one is log shipping will configure, and one is archiving data also. You may go for standby mode only. Otherwise, never choose. Mostly will go for recovery or with no recovery. Whenever you're restoring, okay, whenever you are restoring, okay, let me go for the practical, and so to show your practical complete of for your understanding, and let me create the database now, sir, to try to understand this logic well and good, it will be more stronger, and backup and restore. So database I'm creating database name is the db1. Yeah, my database is done. Okay, use db1 only. Okay, so I was a part of db1. Now I am just to doing the practical, and let me create the table, not GUI. Again, go for command line. Create table. Table name is the EMP. Employee name INT. Name I am specifying varchar. For interior, no need to require specify any values. Varchar 20, and salary I am mentioning. Salary also I am going for interior only. This is my table. Okay. Just I am creating one table. My table got successful. Let me verify. Employee table is came, right. Let me insert the values. insert into EMP values, employee name. I'm creating the table ename interior and salary and insert into employee values. I'm inserting the values name and employee ID. This is my I have inserted some more values. Let me change the names. I have six values. Just I have created database and one database and and I have created one table and now try to insert the values. Okay, I have insert. I'm inserting the three records. Let me create first database. Shall I have deleted the database? I have deleted the table name. That's why we are getting invalid. I'm inserting the three values. Okay, my three values are inserted. I'm taking now. Tell me now. I'm taking full backup. Go to database and go to task. Go to database and go to task and go to backup. I'm taking full backup now. This is by default whatever you are installing, right? That time we have specified path, right? It will navigate to that path. db1 underscore and specifying three full dot bak. Yeah, my full backup is done. So in this table we have three records, right? Three records. So I'm taking the full backup and I went to C drive and specify the path. So three records. So I'm taking three records first. You understand? Dot bak I have mentioned. Okay. Yeah, I have taken the full backup and verify your full backup. Yeah, my this is my full backup. Okay. I'm having some data right in this backup file. What I'm doing, try to understand. I'm inserting again one more record. Suppose this I'm inserting. Okay, one record. I'm going to take differential backup. I have inserting the values. Yeah, just I change some characters. I mean interiors I have changed. I have created table and I have inserted three records. Three rows I have inserted. I have three records, right? And I'm performing a full backup. Go to task and go to backup and full backup. Go to add path location to db1 underscore 3 underscore full. Just to select verify when backup is finished. Okay. Let me perform the full backup. My full backup is done. Now I am going to insert one value. A one row is inserted. Let me check how many records are available. Four records are available, right? In my database, in my table. Now take differential backup. Go to task and go to backup. Make here a differential. Specify the name. Okay. DB1 four records is there, right? Four and differential backup. The extension should be the .bak only, and the full backup and differential backup extension should be same only. Click on OK. Verify when backup is finished. I'm taking differential backup. I have taken the differential backup. So differential backup, four records and available, and one more record added, right? So total four records and under transaction log backup. Actually, again I'm inserting two values. Total I have six records. Okay, let me perform the log backup and go to backup, go to transaction log backup. Specify the path location. I have mentioned the name db1 6 records is available, right? And tlog backup extension should be trn and specifying the name and verify when backup is completed. Okay. My transaction log backup is completed. I have six records now. These are all my backups. Okay. This is my full backup and this is my differential backup and this is my transaction log backup. Okay. Now let me delete the database. I'm going to delete the database. I have deleted the database db1. Now how you can recover it and now what we will do in real world. You will go for verify on whether backups are available or not. Okay. And also you will verify, go and verify any tool level backups are available. And if you have any Veritas net backups and Commvault Sympana backups and Redgate backups, if you're using any third party tools, you will verify whether any backups are available or not. Then you came to know I'm having three backup files. One is a full backup, and one is a differential backup, and one is a transaction log backup. Now I want to restore the database. If you are having multiple backups, also you need to restore it. I can tell you, for example, assume one customer every 1 minute is taking transaction log backup. Now tell me how many transaction log backup will be available for 1 week. For 1 week, how many backups will be available? Because every minute you are taking a transaction log backup, right? Around 1440 backups are available for 1 day, and for 7 days almost 10,080 backup are available, because he's not taking any differential backup, right? Unfortunately, he's not taking differential backup. Okay, for 1 minute means, assume sir, if he's taking every second one transaction log backup, assume if he's taking every second on the transaction log backup. Now tell me how many records will be available. That is what happens some of the cases. And he also having lakhs of transaction log backups, and when he is selecting from the management studio, and management studio also it is hang state. That is what, sir, actually, because as a best practices, you cannot uh, you cannot configure a T-log backup, and you need to configure a differential backup, and you can configure transaction log backup as well every second, but try to configure a differential backup. So yesterday I told you, right, if you are having a latest differential backup, no need to restore all the transaction log file, no need to no need to restore all the transaction log backup. Then later we struggle a lot, and we somehow we restore it, and we need to educate the customer that configuration, that configure differential backup for every every day or every 6 hours. Okay, I'm not telling to change the transaction log backup and frequency, but configure differential backup every 6 hours and every 12 hours. It is every day it is better. You will get the less transaction logs. Okay, that is how you need to educate. Now I'm having my database. I'm having three backup file, and I have my database is corrupted. Somebody deleted my database, or you want to recover. Now you came to know you are having three backup files, and tell me how I can restore it. Someone who is working. Now whenever restoring full backup, and what is the option I need to select, with the recovery or with no recovery? When I'm restoring full backup, what option I need to select? With no recovery, because I'm having a differential backup and I'm having a transaction log backup, right? Because database will be come to online, yes or no? Then how you are telling with recovery? If you are selecting with recovery, with the full backup, database will come to online, right? SQL don't know. We have some other two transactions available, differential backup and T-log backup. SQL think there is no transaction. If we are selecting with recovery, and SQL think they don't have any transaction, database needs to online. That's why database will come to online. Yes or no? Then how you are telling with the recovery? So I told you, right, if don't have any backups to restore, then you can go for with the recovery. Still I am having two more backups, right? We need to go with no recovery. When I am restoring a differential backup, and what option you need to go with no recovery? When I'm having when I'm restoring transaction log backup, what option I need to go with no recovery? If you don't have any backups to recover, then you can go for with recovery. That is what restore. Apart from nothing, how many backups is you are having? If you are having multiple backup files, each backup I can go for with no recovery. Finally, you will go for with the recovery. Let me show you first method. Okay, so now first I'm restoring full backup, then right click on here, go to database and go to restore database. This is the first method. Select device. I'm adding the backup file. Actually I'm taking first full backup, This is my backup file I have selected. This is my backup DB1, and this is the destination backup. If you want to, you can change its destination backup database name. Otherwise, you can keep it same as it is. And I told you, right, whenever you need to verify backup, whether it is valid or not, who is taken, and it will capture here also, and component database, and what is type, and the server name, and the database, and the first LSN, and the last LSN, and the checkpoint LSN, and full LSN, and the start date, finish date, and the database size, and who is the user is perform the backup. All everything will get it here also. And here restore all file locations. If you want to change, you can other drive as well. This is original, it is hidden original file names, and restore as you can change it path location, whether your data file which drive you need to go, and the log files which drive you need to go. You can select it here. Very interesting. By default, I told you, right, by default, with restore with recovery, it will select. You need to change here with no recovery, or else your database is think, your SQL server will think there is no transactions, and the database will come to online. I'm restoring a database with no recovery. My database has been restored successfully. Let me verify the database. My database is in restoring mode, right? Because I have selected with no recovery. That's why it is going. That's why it is going restoring mode. Again, I'm taking the full backup. Again, I'm restoring a differential log backup. Again, I'm taking a log backup. Again, I'm restoring with differential backup file. Go to database and restore. Let me select the path backup location, and we need to select differential backup. We need to select. Click on OK. This is your destination DB, and this is your source DB. Here options. Here I am going to overwrite the existing database with the replace, and again I have transaction log backup, right? Again we need to restore the one more file, right? That's why I'm going to with no recovery only. Same concept. Still my database is in restoring mode only. Again I'm performing transaction. Go to database and go to task and go to restore database. Go to device, add the backup file. Now it is the last backup. We don't have any transactions. Just I have performed first full backup and a differential backup, and now I am performing transaction log backup. This is my transaction. I have navigate the path, and this is source database, and this is database destination database. Now go to files. If you want to, you can relocate files and MDF and LDF files. Now tell me, and we have last backup, and which option we need to go with the recovery, right? We don't have any other backup file. That's why we are going to with the recovery. If you have any backup files, you need to go for with no recovery. Now I'm restoring with the recovery. My DB is restored successfully. My database is came to online, right? After performing with the recovery. That's what you need to perform when you have multiple backup files. Let me explain other method. Okay. Let me delete the database first. I have deleted the database. Go to restore database. Go to device and add the path here. Suppose these are the backup files I have in my system. I'm selecting, instead of selecting all the one by one, I'm selecting all backup one shot only, and I'm selecting differential and the transaction log and full backup. I'm not selecting order. I'm not selecting in order. Just I'm selecting. Now tell me, and SQL server it will be arranged. It will be arranged the form. I mean, first I told you, right, full backup you need to restore. After that differential backup, and after that T-log backup we need to restore. I told you, right, same it will arrange the same format. Now let me perform that. See now tell I have when I am selecting I have when I am selecting backup files, I didn't arrange the proper way, right? That's what here hierarchy it is follow. First it will take full backup and a differential backup. After that T-log backup. Now here you need to perform with the recovery. I'm selecting all the backup files, right? That's why you need to perform with the recovery. I'm restoring database. My database got restored and my database came to online. I can access the database and which method is easy? First method or second method? Second method, right? When your interviewer is asking, you need to tell first method only because you don't tell second method. That is up to your point how you are performing restoration. Whenever your interviewer asking, you can tell first method. First, I'm taking full backup. First, I'm restoring full backup with no recovery, and a differential backup with no recovery, and a transaction log backup with recovery. Like that, your answer should be. Don't tell a second method. This is how your practical. When your database is recovery mode, right? SQL server will run the recovery phase. Now everything is clear, right? This is how your restoration of the database. How two methods I told you, right? That is what today's session. Thank you for everyone for watching this video.